Remember the padding example we saw? The width was 100 pixel, the div's width was 100 pixel, but when we included padding, another 100 pixel was added to the div. So I'll tell you why it happens. Now let's say padding is 100 pixel, but okay, let me disable the padding first. I'm going to say, okay, I'll also remove the margin so that it looks clear. And the width, let this be some 500 pixel. So 500 pixel is what we see now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable this code. Now just look at it. This is where the line stops. Let me zoom this a bit. Okay, this is where the line stops. Now I'm going to refresh it so that the padding left is applied. Let's look at this. So 100 pixel was actually added to the divs. Now it becomes like 100 and 500 now. The width has changed now. So that's pretty confusing. So what I do is there's a property called box sizing. By default, it is content box. So even if you mention it or not, it is always content box, meaning the padding, width, the border's width, and the margin. These are all calculated separately. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this as border box. Let's see what happens. See, this is reduced. It goes back to 500 pixel. Now let me show this again. Now without the border, the width is 500 pixel, which is still here. I'm going to add the border, add the padding. No, the padding is added. Still, the width hasn't changed. Now, this really helps when you have you obviously will plan the width first and you might change the padding later. So you don't want the element to change its, say, its zone or its space than it was allocated. Now we'll see what this box model affects. Now, the content itself, this content itself, the padding, the border, which is the width, and the margin. All these affects, right? So we'll see. Now, I'm gonna give a margin left of 100 pixel. I'll try to remove this first. So the margin is pretty much outside the border. So that's why I keep saying margin is not something that the div element can actually influence. So when I have the margin now, margin left is there, you see the width is all the same, but the margin has pushed it. Now, so this element, right? Let me take an example from the web. Just have a look at this. The content, the padding, and the border. All these three combined is what will be calculated for the box sizing. The margin won't be calculated at all. I'll show you the examples. Now, for time being, let me just remove this margin. Okay, so The width is 500 pixels, which is still here. Okay, just have a look at it. Now there is a border box. I'm going to change this as content box, or I could even remove this. So since box sizing default value is content box, you can either have it or remove it. Time being, I'll just have it here. Now when I have it here, the size changes because of the padding left. Now what I'll do is I'll try to keep a bigger border, I mean a thick border, so 40 pixel. Just have a look at it. Now this again changed, right? So it is trying to push. So what's happening is only this is 500 pixels and this is 100 pixel and there is a 40 pixel on the left, on the top, and the right, and the bottom. So this gets pretty confusing when you try to change padding, margin, and try to align your page. So when you try to align your page, even the text keeps moving. So what you do is border box is the right property for this. Now just look at it. I'm gonna disable this again, the padding left. I'm going to make this 1 pixel now. See, this is where the size of the div stops. So now when I give padding left as 100 pixels and this as 30 pixel, just keep looking at it. The width doesn't change at all. The width is all the same, because what the browser does now is within 500 pixel, the whole thing is 500 pixel. It will take 30 pixel for the border, 100 pixel for the padding left, and remaining. So that's like 370 pixels would be this container of the element. Let's not say container. I mean, that becomes very ambiguous. Whatever space has been allocated for the div itself. So the content, yeah. So the content is something that gets only 370 pixels. Now, this is a very nice way of calculating the padding, the width, and the border, so that you don't have to keep adjusting. If at all you have content boxing over here, all you have to do is you would be just look at it. Now you just want the element to come till here, but once you have the border and the padding left, it goes till there. So what you have to do is you have to go and manually change the values. So you don't have to do that, right? So with width and box sizing as border box, this is accomplished very well.